Frequently asked questions. What are parking arrangement transactions? A parking arrangement is a scenario where the qualified intermediary or an entity owned by the qualified intermediary is parked on title to a property. So they actually go on title to the property and they're parked there during the exchange period. There are three common scenarios. The first one is what's known as a reverse exchange. And simply put, a reverse exchange is purchasing the replacement property before closing on the sale of the relinquished property. This is a situation where a taxpayer really finds a desirable purchase opportunity, and the seller has a need to close quickly, and they're not going to wait until the relinquished property is sold. Oftentimes, we'll see this in a very tight market where properties turn over quickly, or maybe it's a desirable new investment where there's limited inventory, or maybe it's a situation where a taxpayer has the adjoining parcel to their property come on the market and they really want to lock it up so they can expand their business operation, their farm or their ranch, or they can expand into that property. So that's where we see a reverse exchange. An improvement exchange is building a new property, and you can build a new property from the ground up, or it could be making refurbishments to an existing property. So maybe somebody wants to build their ideal investment to their exact specifications. They would use what's called the improvement exchange for that. Sometimes this is referred to as a construction exchange or a build-to-suit exchange as well. Or sometimes an investor might buy an investment that maybe is a dated investment. It's one that's a little saggy. It's a Class B or Class C property, and they want to upgrade it. During the exchange period, the 180-day exchange period, they can make refurbishments and upgrade the property to obtain higher rents and a better value property. And then finally, the last variation is what's referred to as a reverse improvement exchange. This is a scenario where the replacement property is purchased now and construction begins. So they start making improvements to that property, either building a new property from the ground up or refurbishments to an existing property. And we see a lot of owner users take advantage of this structure because they've got to keep their existing business going, but they may want to expand to a much larger facility or a better location. So a reverse improvement exchange can be an ideal solution for investors in that situation. Now, when we deal with parking arrangement transactions, we receive guidance under Revenue Procedure 2000-37. And I'm just going to hit one or two highlights of this revenue procedure. There's a lot more to it than I'll address in this segment. This revenue procedure created a safe harbor for parking arrangement transactions that stay within the confines of this revenue procedure. So by a safe harbor, what it means essentially is that if the taxpayer follows these parameters, they've got a safe transaction that won't be challenged by the IRS. Now, the revenue procedure did note that it's possible to structure parking arrangement transactions outside of the safe harbor. Those are going to be for very sophisticated investors, generally on larger and complex commercial transactions. So even though the revenue procedure provides that you can structure outside the safe harbor, the vast majority of taxpayers, again 99% or more, are going to do a parking arrangement transaction that stays within Revenue Procedure 2000-37. One of the key elements and one of the key challenges in this RevProc is there's a maximum of 180 calendar days to complete a parking arrangement transaction. So for taxpayers that are doing a reverse exchange, they would acquire the replacement property. They then have up to 180 days to sell the relinquished property. So again, this isn't a comprehensive overview of the revenue procedure, but I just wanted to provide some highlights that illustrate that a parking arrangement transaction can be a very straightforward transaction, and as long as taxpayers stay within the safe harbor, they've got a very conservative and defensible exchange. To review your specific 1031 exchange situation or a potential parking arrangement transaction, contact Asset Preservation's headquarters in California at 800-282-1031 or our Eastern Regional Office in New York at 866-394-1031. Please read the full disclaimer as asset preservation cannot provide tax or legal advice.